Wrestling with wrestling's past and present.
How old were you?
I was -3.
JR is trying to contain Jim Ross. Do you see any of the aggro crag? Was any of that left over?
No, unfortunately not.
No?
I'm taking some of that home.
God, I hope that storyline ends soon.
And 6 to 8 weeks later, they mail you a freaking magnet.
Yep. Mongo.
Mondo.
Mondo Burger. Welcome to Good Burger. Welcome to Good Burger. Can I take your order?
Just wait. To further the cheap pop, Mick Foley still owes Tim $10.
Just the definition of blue balls and gaga. It's like
That should be a t-shirt. Blue balls and gaga.
It's still real to me, damn it.
Hager kept making out with his wife. It was weird. So then, I'm waiting for them to put the Selena Vega on a pole match.
And I mean, Big E's got Whale performing in his entrance, so I feel like
Wale.
Wale. I don't listen to. Okay, well, I don't listen to him, so I apologize to Wale.
This is in the mail, my good sir. No, it wasn't.
Giving us a reason to come here and listen to ourselves talk.
Absolutely.
And then you can listen to us too.
Strap on and balls, only on Wrestling Past and Present.
This is Gangrel, the Vampire Warrior, and you're listening to Wrestling with Wrestling's Past and Present.
This is Wrestling with Wrestling's Past and Present. I'm Tim Kirk.
I'm rolling. Damn it, I have one name today.
I'm Mongo, and I still only have one, but welcome back, Tim!
Thank you. It's good to be back. Yeah, sorry about last week. You know, sometimes, as we said many times, life gets in the way. So, fortunately, I was not able to do the show last week. So, thank you guys for holding the fort down. But we're back at full strength today and ready to talk about TNA.
Wrong show.
Vince Russo's like, bro. But yeah, so it was definitely whenever Tim's not here, it's always an odd show. So if anybody actually enjoyed last week's show, thanks. But like our we do our best to get you a show no matter what, and we've been doing this 3-man booth so long that when there's only 2 of us, no matter what 2 it is, it just doesn't quite feel right. So I'm glad we're back at full strength. And like I said, going into this week's episode, we weren't really sure if Tim was going to be back. We knew he had some stuff going on, and then we knew he was having a vacation in the middle there. We weren't real sure how he was going to feel coming back. So we're all like, well, could Tim be here? Hopefully. So we're glad you're back, honestly. So
I appreciate it, guys. Thank you.
He escaped Disney. We got him back. We're happy. Yep. I only made one mistake last week, so be proud of me. And that was, I forgot that we set the time to delay at 5 p.m. So surprise drop. Everyone got the episode an hour after we recorded last week.
Yeah.
Roll and I just pretended it didn't happen.
Yeah. I remember sending a text to Mongo. I'm like, how about we just don't promote it till 5?
So I noticed that people did listen to early, so you're welcome. My screw up is your reward.
Right?
So, hey, at least we're getting somewhere, though, where, I mean, I remember the first time when Tim couldn't make it, we had to run. Yeah. Well, no, I'm just saying, so at least we know we can get the show on the air, even though it may not be the correct time for our normal drops. If anything, it's early, so that's a plus. It's not late.
Yeah.
But yes, so Tim, there's a reason you are our producer extraordinaire. Don't ever do that to me again. No, I'm just kidding.
I'll try not to. But yeah, so that's what makes us a team where we always try to get you a show no matter what happens, whatever life throws at us. So again, thank you guys. But yeah, it's good to be back talking about TNA Against All Odds 2006. As you know, we've last year we went through 2005 TNA, and this year we're going through 2006. The dates match up perfectly. So yeah, let's get right into it. A couple dark matches to talk about real quick. The first one is Ron Killings getting a win over A1 Steak Sauce in about 1 minute and 43 seconds. I don't think anybody cares. You guys care?
No, not even in the slightest.
Okay. Second is a 6-man tag match. You have Lance White, Cassidy Riley, and Sharkboy getting a win over Shannon Moore and the Diamonds in the Rough in about just under 6 minutes. Just a surprising thing to note here is Lance White actually gets a win.
Did he though? I mean, it's a pre-show match. Did he though?
True.
So you had Shannon Moore ruin our pay-per-view last week, and now he's in the goddamn pre-show. Shows you how great you had that investment, huh? Like, what the hell? Sorry, that just pisses me off. Like, we had a great AJ Styles Okada match last pay-per-view, ruined by this little schmuck, and now he's on the pre-show.
That's no offense to Shannon Moore, but that's his career in a nutshell. Like, it's like, here comes Shannon Moore, yeah. Oh, pre-show the next week. Oh, okay.
If you ever seen the show Velocity from WWF, Shannon Moore would be the main eventer of that program.
Yeah.
Yes.
Or like the old Sunday Night Heat, or like something like that. Like or what was they had another one too.
Jacked.
Yeah, they had like he
Shotgun
would be,
Saturday Night.
Yeah,
That's it. Saturday Night.
he would be the quintessential WWE main event right now that they have. Like, he would be like the perfect person to be on that show like every week. They'd be like, here comes Shannon Moore.
I just want to say he got a contract and S.A. Rios never did. So you want to talk about hitting and missing on that one?
Yeah.
S.A. Rios.
Well, and you got to remember, that's who Lita came in with originally.
Yes.
So we can thank S.A. Rios for that. I mean, I know he didn't necessarily bring Lita, but like, he introduced it.
Yeah, Mark Marrow. We're just going to refer to that term as the Mark Marrow.
Yeah, right.
So we begin the actual pay-per-view card with a tag team match. You have the Naturals, Andy Douglas and Chase Stevens, getting a win over Austin Aries and Roderick Strong in about 10.5 minutes here. I think it was a solid opener to the show. I mean, these are all X Division, performers. Austin Aries, Roderick Strong, really solid performers. And the Naturals, I didn't, before we started covering TNA, I wasn't really familiar with them, but, they can go. I mean, they can work. So that was a solid opener. It was nice to see a traditional tag match as an opener as opposed to a 4-way, 6-way, 10-way. But don't worry, we're going to get to there. It's just not the first match.
Well, and honestly, thankfully, there wasn't. I don't know about you guys, but it felt like there was a little bit less Gaga on this whole show. Thankfully, I mean, there's still some. Don't get me wrong, but it also felt like this whole show was somewhat produced better than some of the ones lately that we've watched. Like, it just seemed it went together a little bit better. It seemed like there was less outside interference. I mean, there was still some, again, like there's always going to be some in a wrestling show, no matter who you, but it seemed like at one point, like some of these shows we've been watching have been pretty good, but it seemed like every match had like somebody involved in the outside or a ref bump or like something dumb. So to start the show off with a match that the referee doesn't get bumped, nobody shows up to interfere. It's kind of refreshing, really.
No, I agree. I think they learn from their mistakes. So I think that's one thing TNA did and Impact still does is they realize when they have a clunker of a show, they try to fix it for the next one because they know people aren't going to keep ordering hot garbage. Spoiler alert, Vince. So I think, like you said, didn't have like the whole powder to the eye awful segment that we saw last month, or 800 ref bumps, or 900 people coming to the ring to take out Undertaker. Didn't have the Gaga that we've been seeing. It like you said, it flowed. And I'm not really a big fan of the Naturals, and the internet clearly isn't either because it's 2022 and Andy Douglas still doesn't have a Wikipedia page. But I thought the match itself was good because Austin Aries and Roderick Strong are both good workers, and like you both said, they're the X Division. They all four can work. I thought the wrong people went over personally, but that's just probably because I'm more of a fan of Austin Aries and Roderick Strong. But overall, it felt like a good match. And like Roland said, it felt refreshing. And it felt like we were off to a good start because it didn't feel like, oh, it's another one of those. Here we go. It felt like, okay, clean finish. I'll take it.
Well, and you also have to remember too that like 6 months ago they were the tag champions,
right?
Or like right around there. So like, and then they had that losing streak. Because I remember we covered that too. That it seemed like once they lost, they kind of like they were on the pre-show a couple shows ago. It might have even been last show. I remember they were on the pre-show too. So it's good that they kind of got their second chance to get back. I still want to know what happened to Jimmy Hart. Like, he just stopped showing up with them. So maybe he realized he was like, oh, this isn't going to work either. But
that was such a TNA thing. They would have like some performer or some celebrity. They'd be there prominently for like months, and then poof, without a word, they were gone.
and not mentioned either. Like, you don't hear Don West, and again, Don West fighting cancer again, unfortunately. So prayers, well wishes to him. Let's beat cancer again. Let's get it over with. And we already know you can do it because you did it once already. So what's something if you can't do it twice? So well wishes and thoughts to Don West and his family. But like, you don't hear Don West or TNA, you don't hear either one of them being like, "Oh, you remember when Jimmy Hart was out here with him a couple of months ago?" Like they just gone.
And to add on to yours real quick, if you go to Pro Wrestling Tees, he has a micro baller for sale right now. That all proceeds, we posted the link on our page too. So even if you are somewhat of a collector, it's like $15, $20. All the proceeds go right to Don West to help, fund his treatment, fund his fight. So I think it's cool. I personally don't collect the micro brawlers. I do sell them if you want them. But I think it's a cool idea. Like, I like that. That's one thing I like about Pro Wrestling Tees. When something happens and affects a family, they won't take money from their stuff. They'll sell a shirt. Like, we all got the Brody Lee tribute shirt in there, selling this to help fundraise. When Dan Housen got hurt, they gave him more proceeds. It's nice to see that companies are actually willing to say they care and show they care. So I think that's a cool thing for someone who is a legend in this industry. He may not have been as mainstream as some of the other wrestling figures, but you don't have TNA without Don West.
No, and even to this day, there's people that work, like Jeff Jarrett and stuff, that say he's easily one of, if not the most hardest working person in the business. Like, they were saying how he'd be like before shows hawking t-shirts and getting the crowd going, and then he'd be, and the thing about Don West, and he did a lot of on the job learning because he wasn't a wrestling guy. So kudos to him for being able, because you can tell, Mike Adamle, like, I know he had some brain issues, but like, he didn't fit. He had CTE and stuff like that, so he was like a fish out of water. Like, you can tell when they put someone that doesn't have a clue about what they're doing
and invert.
Well, that's what I'm saying. You can tell when that happens. And honestly, he didn't even have a good color guy, because TNA, for as much as I like Mike TNA, he's not a color. He's not a. He was the color guy in the booth in WCW, so he didn't even have like a good play-by-play guy. Is what I was trying to say. So, like, no offense to TNA, but he's really not a good play-by-play guy. He's that guy that does what Corey Graves does now, and then mentions like a certain move or mentions this or that off the cuff.
It's a play-by-ear.
Yeah. Well, that's what. So, like, to be fair, like, a lot of people, the early TNA days when it was Don West and Mike TNA, you have to kind of appreciate what they did, because they both were kind of out of their element a little bit. TNA, knew wrestling, but he was never the solo play-by-play guy. So,
yeah.
No, well said.
Yeah, absolutely. Moving along, we have a four-way match. You have Jay Lethal getting a win over Matt Bentley, Alex Shelley, and Petey Williams in about 10.5 minutes. Typically, this is what would start a show for TNA, these four-way matches. I don't like this. I've said this many times. I don't like the format where you have to tag in and out, because it makes no sense. Why would you tag out in this match? So I don't like the format of this. But nothing against the performers. You have you have three really talented performers, and Matt Bentley's, okay.
That about sums it up too. Like that. Not trying to make fun of Matt Bentley, but like, yeah,
it is what it is. He got Tracy though, so he's doing something right.
Yeah, well, he didn't get her in the long run. Frankie did, so
that's true.
But I think that, like you said, this is like the typical TNA style of match too, like the X Division up pay. Like, that was one thing, is that their X Division and a lot of their matches kind of mirrored the WCW Cruiserweight division, like that upbeat pace to keep the fans going, the high risk stuff. And like you said, this match, other than being a little clunky with the tag in and tag out thing, it delivered on all. There was high spots, low spots. It gave everybody in the crowd what they wanted. And the only thing that was a little bit weird about this match is it really didn't have any stakes. Like, you would have thought the type of match would have been like the number one contendership for whoever gets to get demolished by Samoa Joe like next for the X Division title or something. So that's the only thing I wish there was some sort of stake for this match, because with the guys that were in there, and I know there was a little bit of history obviously between all of them, from Jay Lethal was what, 22, I think they said, at
20, I think.
Or yeah, he was super young. But yeah, it's just too bad they didn't, this would have been the perfect type of match to say, hey, the winner of this match gets a title shot down the road. And then at least it would have meant something. But the match itself was still pretty solid.
I'm so glad you said that because I was thinking that the whole time watching this match. I'm like, why are they all fighting? It's not like they're feuding. So
Exactly.
I'm like, it's just thrown together. And again, it's a showcase match, is what it was. And like Tim said, there was 3 great performers, and then this guy. But
and Matt Bentley.
For those who can't see, it's like emo Matt Bentley when he was in his last run with TNA. Again, no one cared about Matt Bentley then. Like Roland said, Tracy even dumped him for Frankie Kazarian. I thought Alex Shelley and Petey Williams low-key stole the match, but Jay Lethal, you could tell he was green, but he really, really was able to work well and showed his future potential. And I honestly think, though, the Black Machismo character, I know this is kind of jumping way ahead, it's a great character, but I think some of it kind of hindered him to the comedy guy, but this shows he can really work. And right now he's currently in AEW, and he's already put on 2 decent matches. He had a really good match last week on Rampage, so it's really cool if you want to see a young Jay Lethal get a good win where a company actually hold on, wait, they believe in someone and they start to push him.
Next up,
before we go any further, let's also give Petey Williams a little bit more credit for producing the Seth Rollins Roman Reigns match at the Rumble. Before we go any further, Petey Williams was essentially the guy that put that match together, and you cannot tell me that bullshit ending wasn't doot. What we're gonna do is we're gonna have him choke him out, and then he's gonna put his hands on the rope, and he just ain't gonna let go.
But he's gonna miss it. Charles Robinson's gonna drop your hand on the rope.
Yeah. So and then doot, match over. But so let's give Petey a little bit of credit. That and I know Roman and Seth have great chemistry, but clearly a lot of the spots in that match were kind of inspired by the way Petey wrestled, because that match was actually somewhat up pace for Roman. So I just think that, Petey deserves a little bit of credit. And I know we just talked about him, so I just wanted to throw that in there. Sorry to cut you off, Tim, but we gave him credit last week, and I figure we'll give him a little bit more this week, because that was probably the best thing on the whole Royal Rumble card until the end, where Dude screwed it all up. So
you're absolutely right about Petey Williams. I get exhausted watching him wrestle because he's like Ricochet, he's like Flip Gordon, where they go at 100 miles an hour. And you're just like, I'm exhausted watching you.
You're like, I'm going to go take a nap.
It's entertaining. Right? But it's entertaining. Like you said, it's more quick pace, and that's what this match was. And that's what, obviously, his producing style is. He understands sometimes you need that fast-paced match to really pump that crowd up.
Well, like I said, the match was kind of surprisingly fast-paced for Roman. Usually Roman was a little more methodical, but, I mean, he still had his moments where he was. But, like, you sit back and think about who produced it and how the match went. It was actually somewhat quick for Roman's pace, especially now. Him being the tribal chief, a lot of his stuff is slower, methodical, I'm going to choke you out kind of thing. So it's just cool when you see the different styles of matches, it's cool to see, because like I said, for a fact that Petey had a lot to do with that match.
Yeah. Next up, we have yet another tag team match. You have the James Gang and LAX, Homicide and Machete, with Conan here. I'm so tired about the storyline, and I don't think it's ending. It's not ending for a long time. It's just, you have the whole thing with Bullet Bob Armstrong involved, and it's just like, thankfully, it only went 6 minutes. I mean, that's the only good thing about this. I mean, that's probably 5 minutes and 59 seconds too long. But I'm just tired of it. The storyline just never ends. Yeah.
I'm 100% with you. I thought it was funny that, Conan's the one that has the beef with the James Gang, right? And yet Conan's on the outside, not in the match, and then he's afraid of like a 75-year-old man.
Yeah, I know.
Like, it's like, oh, and I know Bob Armstrong wasn't 75. I'm just throwing it. Like, he takes his jacket off. Conan's like, oh fuck, I better get out of here. Which, hold on, next, Tim, I'll have you. I peeked at next month's, and I'll have you know that it then becomes a 6-man. Next one. Yeah, so I just figured I'd give you that one. Little spoiler for the fans.
We just got Tim back. What are you trying to do?
I know.
Well, I think I'm trying a new approach. If I give him a month in advance to hopefully wrap his mind around the fact that he's going to get more James Gang, but this time it's going to have Bullet Bob in the match with Conan in the match. I figured maybe we'll try a new thing instead of like bombarding him with it the week of. If he
Look,
knows,
and Tim leaves the show because of this. I'm going to make you watch all the Saudi shows and do a whole hour on your review.
it's going to be one whole hour of Titus sliding into the fucking ring.
It's gonna be an hour of Goldberg's best matches.
Yeah, wow, Goldberg.
How do you get an hour out of that?
I know, right?
It's like we were talking about Matt Bentley all over again. It's Roman Reigns and this guy.
So you know how Al Snow used to shit on, was it Lance? No, or was it Lance Snow shit on Al Snow? Someone shit on Al Snow. Remember, like, oh, this is Al Snow's best matches.
Mick Foley used to do that a lot.
Okay, thank you. I knew, he
still owes
$10.
Yeah, he
Yeah,
still owes
$10.
But it kind of reminds me of like what we're doing with Matt Bentley. I just feel like, or Goldberg, like, hey, let's get the best of. Oh wait, they don't exist.
Yeah, I'm hoping that like one day a random Mr. Sacco autograph just shows up to Tim's house, and we're gonna be like, "Fucking A, Mick Foley gave him a friggin' like, hey, we got it. All right, thanks, Mick." I don't think
it's in the trailer for a reason.
Yeah,
Right.
I'm just hoping that like, because I mean, obviously, when you go on Cameo, you got to put your info in. So like, I'm hoping that Mick Foley like have a heart, Mick. At least send him a signed Sacco or something. Come on, man. With interest, you owe him like $12.50 by now.
I know.
Like, what the heck?
Let's see here. Next up is another tag team match. So we have started the pay-per-view with 4 either tag team matches or fatal 4-way matches.
Everybody's getting paid.
That's right. This time it's for the NWA World Tag Team titles. You have AMW, Chris Harris and James Storm getting a win over Chris Sabin and Sanjay Dutt in about 10.5 minutes. That's the other thing. All these matches are going about 10.5 minutes too. This is a solid match. I mean, I'm not sure that the order of the show is correct. Like I said, starting off the show with 4 basically tag matches. And I know you had the Fatal 4-Way, but basically you had to tag in and out of that match too. So I don't know if the order of the show is correct, but I mean, this is a solid match. AMW was probably, one of the better tag teams that TNA had, and this is kind of like their rise. So I enjoyed this one. Chris Sabin, Sanjay Dutt, I think really underrated wrestlers. We obviously know what Chris Sabin did with the Motor City Machine Guns. But so I enjoyed this one.
They were also playing up the injury from the night before from Sabin. That clip looked brutal. Like they're like, we're surprised he didn't break his ankle. It's like when you see the clip, it's like, yeah, I'm surprised he didn't break his ankle too. Like it looked bad, and clearly he was out there less than 100%, and they did what they could to play that up and also protect him at the same time. So it was done very well. I don't know what other format you'd want to have, Tim. Did you want to move the Team Canada Team 3D match up so that way they could have 5 in a row? Or
I don't know. I mean, you have too many tag team matches.
There's a lot of tag team matches on this card.
Yeah,
I agree. Tag team and multiple man. Like, and to be fair, the best match on the card was a multi-man match. So
yes, we'll get into that in a little bit.
Well, no, I'm just saying. So like, we're also not just. I don't want people to say, "Oh, they're crapping on multi-man match." No, tell you what, the best match on the card was a multi-man match. Yeah. But like Tim said, it's comical when you have 12 wrestling matches on a card and the first 8 are tag matches. It's like it's a lot of people.
I mean, I feel like you got to open the show with that triple threat Jay Lethal triple threat match because I'm not counting Matt Bentley in that match.
Yeah, I was going to say triple threat with Matt Bentley.
That could have been the first. No, but that's kind of TNA's issues. They don't really know how to stack the card. I feel like that's been our kind of common complaint about going back is that, like Tim said, you just get like the exact same format for an hour straight. Like you got tag matches for an hour straight.
Yeah. Next up, we have a Falls Count Anywhere match. You have Rhino getting a win over Abyss with James Mitchell in about 15.5 minutes. I was watching this match and I kept thinking, like, I feel like I've seen the same match like 100 times. Like it just they do this every pay-per-view is some sort of match between these guys that involves weapons and stuff like that. I mean, we had the finish. Rhino tackles Abyss and Abyss falls through 4 tables, gets to 1, 2, 3. But yeah, just like I've seen this match before. Like I don't need to keep seeing the same thing over and over again.
Yeah, no, I couldn't agree more. It seems like between Sabu, Raven, Rhino, Abyss, it seems like once a month there's just one of these matches. And like you were saying, it kind of takes away from the specialness if that's even a word, the uniqueness of that style of a match when you have one with one of those 4 guys at least in it every month.
Mm-hmm.
And I mean, here's the other thing. What happened to Raven? We didn't have anything.
Nevermore.
I was going to say we didn't have anything on this show about Zbyszko trying to make Raven's life hell. He's just not there now. Like he's just gone.
Raven lost that match though, and he left, right?
Well, sort of, but I'm saying that like they just kind of like left that book somewhat open ended.
Yeah.
It's weird. I'm sending I'm going to do this on the air. I'm sending Tim and Mongo a group chat message, a picture real quick to look to see what is going to be on the April TNA show to further the James Gang thing. Just take a look. I'm not going to spoil it for the fans, but take a look at the third match on the
Oh,
picture.
Jesus Christ.
Don't say a word. Just look at it and yeah, just
Oh my god. Oh, geez. Did you see the stipulation?
Yeah, I saw that's what I'm saying. Like, look at what it was. Yeah. Yeah.
Oh my god.
Mongo's gone, so we're now down to
it's another 2-man show here.
Yeah. This is like the OG 2-man show, though.
Are we done talking about James Gang? I'll come back.
I had to peek. I'm sorry. I don't want to spoil it for anybody because it's probably good shit, pal. But I figured, our show is, wait a minute. Holy crap. In May, it ends finally.
Wow.
Woo!
Well, let me check June just to see if they like duped us. But in May, the James Gang is finally done with Conan. And they are. Sweet. All right. So we only have 2 more months of this garbage. So you asked him when it ends? There you go.
In May. All right.
All right. And again, let's not spoil it for everybody what happens in April. Let's let everybody find that out on their own. But I just figured I would send it.
You guys remember about April and Raven and how this feud's going to end? Oh, it's so hair-raising.
Well, and that's what I thought was comical. I did to TNA their long-term storytelling. Like they tried, it was just really bad.
Next up, we have get back on the rails.
I figured if we're gonna have a show without Tim last week, how bad can it be if he's back? So like clearly. We have Tim Mongo and I set the bar so low that like we have to, we can't just like jump sky high over the bar. We have to kind of build our way back up.
We are the bar.
Yeah.
After trying to watch that Raven match, Raven Cheese Abyss match, the bar. See, look, we got all this Mount Cluster fuckeriness going on, all right? So I'm going to let Tim go to the next match because I don't even want to get my thoughts on that terrible match.
So I'm assuming this is the match that Roland was talking about. It's the best match on the card. It's the 3-way match for the X Division title. Samoa Joe's going to retain against AJ Styles and Christopher Daniels in 16 minutes here. It's the same thing. All these X Division matches with Samoa Joe, AJ Styles, Daniels, they're always the best match on the card. And they always do something different. It's not the same match. You don't feel like it's not Abyss and Rhino where you feel like you're seeing the same match over and over again. They're always changing it up. Samoa Joe hits the muscle buster, gets the 1, 2, 3. But like I said, you can watch these performers, wrestle all day long. It was such a great match.
Also, going back to last week when we watched ECW and we saw some of like the table spots there, has Rhino just become soft and like is he afraid to gore him through those tables? Like that was the one thing I wanted to point out that like
it was just a shoulder block, basically.
Yeah, it's like what happened to ECW, and I know we're going to the next match, but that was the only thing I just thought of it. That was the only thing I wanted to point out was that in like ECW Rhino, he would have taken him all the way down to the floor, like with a gore. And then yeah, I'm just saying
with a gore, one more.
Yeah. Never more. But yeah. So like I thought that was comical that like Tim said it was a shoulder tackle essentially. It was a Steve Mongo McMichael shoulder block.
It was kind of like what's Monty Brown's finishing move?
The Where the hell was he? I forgot he wasn't even. I mean, I know he was out bad.
Yourself.
I know him and Jarrett have a love-hate thing where like they talk about touching each other in the weird spots sometimes. It seems like every month, like Monty's like, "You want to touch me, Jeff?" And Jeff's like, "Well, if I have the title next month, maybe I'll let you touch me." But so yeah. Anyways, that seems to be where Monty Brown is right now. It seems to be just like practice squad for TNA also at this point. So, but anyways, back to the AJ Styles, Daniels, and Joe. Yeah, this easily was the best thing on the card. And if you don't think so, you're an idiot. Like, no matter, like, I don't like calling our fans stupid, but if you watch this show and you don't think it's the best thing, you might want to recheck your life choices, because there's nothing on this show that's going to beat this match. They have incredible chemistry. Like Tim said, every time they have a match, it's never the same. Even the spots are different. Like you're going to be hard pressed to find the high spots in this match being the same as the ones that were in the next one or the previous match. Like they seem to change the high spots up. They do a fantastic job. This match was storytelling 101 too, with the Daniels AJ, throwing the towel in, trying to save Daniels. And this was and is what pro wrestling is about, in my opinion. This style, and to be honest, it proves that if you do it right, you can have a multi-man match, and as long as it's done right, the fans will love it, and it won't get crapped on, and it'll hold up to the test of time, X amount of years later.
No, I agree. I can't speak on too much more what you said, because you said everything perfectly. It's what pro wrestling was. It's what TNA was. This is what got you hooked on TNA, and only got better, because there's a reason why AJ Styles was the face that ran the place in TNA and not just WWE, where everyone knew or knows him. But there's a reason why Samoa Joe could wrestle anyone, and why Christopher Daniels is very underrated for what he's done for the business. If people haven't seen Christopher Daniels in TNA, then you've missed his entire career, because he had an amazing career after amazing matches in TNA, went on to Ring of Honor and New Japan, had an amazing career, and obviously he's in the twilight of his career doing spots here and there, but you need to watch these matches, because like Roland said, the storytelling in and out of the ring, some of the spots, like when you hit that best moonsault ever onto Samoa Joe and you thought he had the title and Samoa Joe kicks out with like a hair of a second left, or like the crazy enziguri that AJ hit, and then like that springboard DDT float combination, like it was like they were stuck in jello together. They just like flowed together so well. Honestly, I can see why their match was one of the 5-star matches, but it's a damn shame that they didn't get more, because this was a 5-star match, easily best in the card, easily best of the year that we've seen this year.
Well, and here's the other thing that I don't think you take into account. Samoa Joe is undefeated at this point. Having a triple threat match like this is a way to beat Samoa Joe without beating Samoa Joe. So like in your head, you think if Daniels is going to pin AJ or AJ is going to pin Daniels, that it can legitimately happen. Like that's the other thing, is that you have a guy that's an undefeated Samoan submission machine that's in a match that doesn't have to be pinned to lose, and you're thinking that might be how you get the title off him. So like during this match, like I go out of my way to not peek to see who wins what. Like I'll look at the card, but I won't. I honestly want to be surprised who wins when we watch these shows. During that match, I honestly thought, because I couldn't remember, I'm like, Joe might lose this match. Like there were points where, and he wasn't involved. So that's storytelling. I mean, that right there is how you can make somebody look strong, Vince, and not do stupid shit with it. Plain and simple.
Yeah, and it just, what I was thinking about too watching this match is just how you watch this match and then you realize how WWE misused Samoa Joe. I mean, and granted, I know injuries had a lot to play with it. He had some bad luck when it came to injuries, and they killed whatever momentum he had. But besides that, he was in the mid-card guy. He was going for the U.S. title. He wasn't going for the Universal or the heavyweight title that often. So it just goes to show you, like, that Vince doesn't know how to utilize what he has. And then, obviously he got released twice in 1 year and stuff like that. So that's what kept bringing my mind, is just how much WWE just did not know what to do with him.
And that feud with AJ and Samoa Joe when they were both on SmackDown and AJ's wife was involved and stuff like that. Stuff was gold.
Oh yeah.
I don't, that is storytelling 101. That is make people invested. A majority of people have wives, so they're like, oh my God, like if that were like they can relate to that situation. So like,
and you knew there was real bad blood. You knew that they had feuds,
right? And it's one of those things where if you ask AJ or you ask Joe, they'll say that AJ or Joe, like whoever you talk to, the other person will say they're good friends with this person, and it's true because they've been through it since what we just watched in 05, 06. They've been linked since then.
Yeah.
No, you can't say more than enough about their chemistry too, and that's what helped the feud is they have that chemistry, and you're saying about the risk of a triple threat. It's funny you're kind of peeking into because I remember this run. So next month I'm not going to spoil anything, but we get the Ultimate X match for these three. So and I even remember that match very vividly and everything. So your premonitions are there. So keep that in mind for next month's TNA episode.
Well, and then like I said, that's how you do it though. You then so now you've taken the title, you've made people more invested, but Joe still hasn't lost. Like that's the beauty of doing it that way. No matter how you do it, and whether it would have been this match next month, whenever, it still leaves Joe as that killer who's like, wait, I still haven't lost, guys.
And here's the thing. Here's where I think personally WWE could have done something with him after the AJ feud when he started going for the title with Brock Lesnar. If he had just beaten Brock Lesnar, instantly you would have legitimized what a badass he was in WWE, and he could have had runs with everyone. But it almost seems like he got neutered, like Tim was kind of alluding to. Like, just nothing happened. Like, he went, like, in at 100 miles an hour. Like, he dominated NXT Black and Gold. He ran through it. He came up, had that great feud with AJ, and then he went to Brock Lesnar, he hit the wall, and then he was kind of showing up, and then unfortunately got injured. Now, as we all know, is back, a free agent, which it's a damn shame that nobody's picked him up because he's a free agent, even just for a producer role. His wrestling, I guarantee you, him and Christopher Daniels, if they work together in TNA as producers, holy shit, some of the matches you
get. You wouldn't get the Petey Williams, Michael Hayes treatment.
No. Next up is another tag team match. If you were missing out on some tag team matches here, we haven't had one in a few minutes. It's Team 3D getting a win over Team Canada in about 14 minutes. I don't know. I mean, I don't like Team Canada. I don't like the storyline. It's just been overdone. So I wasn't really invested in this one. I have a lot of respect for Team 3D, but and Bobby Roode and Eric Young can go. It's nothing against them. It's just storyline wise, I didn't care about this match.
Well, so the biggest mistake TNA made back then was all of a sudden now you have AMW and Team Canada as best buddies. And it's like they spent a year-ish feuding with each other, having hockey stick on a pole matches and having all this stuff that you let us stomach through, and now all of a sudden we're just supposed to believe that Team Canada and AMW are buddies now. Like that's the one thing that irks the hell out of me about this whole storyline is like, oh, they're all Jarrett's buddies. It's like, okay, but they don't like each other, but now they like each other. Like what? So yeah, it's kind of like the James Gang thing where Team Canada, like Tim said, has been kind of like shoved down our throats, but like they still at this point now don't really know what to do with them because now they're buddy with A&W. The Naturals are kind of back at the beginning of like the mid card end, and they don't really have another team to work with. So who do they work with? They work with Team 3D, who should give the rub to Team Canada, which again, like you said, Eric Young, Bobby Roode, fantastic performers. I mean, even to this day still. But yeah, it just feels like once Team 3D came in, they decided that these two great tag teams that could have had three-way feuds and everything else, all of a sudden they're going to team up AMW and Team Canada to essentially attack Team 3D. And I get the logic behind like, well, we don't want this team here and whatever, and we're joining together for that. But they didn't even have really any infighting either. So it's like it lost a lot of interest for me. And like Tim said, Team 3D, easily one of the best tag teams in the whole world ever. Up there with, this is going to be a hot take too, up there with teams like the New Day and the Usos currently, who I think a lot of people crap on both of those teams at some points. But to be honest, they are the longest the longevity is important here. And when you think of current longevity, you think of the New Day and you think of the Usos and you think of some of the matches they've had together. So it's similar to AMW and Team Canada, but like it's just a weird dynamic having those two teams, AMW and Team Canada, all of a sudden be buddy after they feuded the way they feuded for like what felt like a year. It felt like it was the James Gang feud where like it just never ended. And then all of a sudden it just ends and they're buddies. It's like, what?
And my big gripe, why doesn't Team 3 get a rematch after being shafted last month in that clusterfuck of a match? Like, I don't understand the decisions here. Like, why wouldn't it have been Team Canada versus Sanjay Dutt and Chris Sabin? Like, you could have started something there. Mm-hmm. So just like you said, it just seems like they didn't know what they were doing, and that was always kind of my frustration with TNA, kind of like it is WWE. AEW sometimes does these weird nonsensical things. Like it has to make sense. Like, okay, so you got screwed out of the title that you clearly won because the ref doesn't know what's going on because he was blind, but he heard the music. Like what? So you don't get a rematch next pay-per-view, like a no disqualification or a cage match or something that could have had definitive winner. And instead you have them fight Team Canada because, like you said, AMW's they're allies and friends now. Yeah. Like they're like, oh yeah, we tried to kill each other for a year, and you guys, anti-American assholes, but you're cool in our book.
James Storm's like, I just discovered beer. You guys are all right. You know what I mean? It's like,
thanks for the Labatt Blue, but
yeah, right. Like it like you said, Mongo, you summed it up perfectly. Like it legitimately makes no sense. Like not even a little bit. And like you said, I forgot all about the Team 3D thing. So you have this tag tournament that Sanjay Dutt and Sabin win. Like why? That you could have done that this next month. And I forgot all. That's a great point, Mongo. I forgot all about that. Like that crappy finish from.
That's why you forgot about it. It caused you emotional damage.
Yeah, right. Yeah, exactly. Emotional damage. But yeah, it's it's too bad because they could have had 3 teams at each other and they could have got longevity out of this. And it could have furthered the AMW Team Canada feud with Team 3D involved, and it would have made more sense.
Yep.
Yeah. So we made it to our main event. It's for the NWA World Title. You have Christian Cage going to become the new champion after getting a win over Jeff Jarrett in about 16 and a half minutes.
What's Christian always, Tim, not to cut you off, what's Christian always looking for?
I don't know. His peeps, probably.
Well, no, but like when he first came to TNA, like nobody really knew what a peep was per se. And he's always like, how cocky do you have to be to think you have fans? Like Christian was always the Marty Jannetty of the group. No offense to Christian. Obviously, he's done more than Marty Jannetty. I'm just saying Edge is clearly the Shawn Michaels of the group. But like Christian comes in and he's like, yeah, look at all my fans. And it's like, do you know if you have fans though? Like, no offense, Christian. Like he's just assuming. He's like, oh, there's one. That's it. Like I just always thought it was funny.
Shielding his eyes for the greatness.
Oh, there you go. Yeah, he's like, can we turn that light down? Yeah. So, anyways, Tim, continue. Sorry, didn't mean to cut you. So, Tim, we couldn't cut you off last week at all. So, like, I'm just.
I know you're getting it all in this time.
Yeah, unfortunately, I had a couple I would have loved to have done last week, but instead I couldn't. So, getting them all this week. So,
all right. So, I don't know this match. I didn't like it, to be honest with you guys. Just because there's so much extra stuff going on that didn't need to be there. So the first thing is the referee. You have Earl Hebner, which is this Earl Hebner's TNA debut? I think it was.
Or close to it, because
yeah.
Let's see. I'll find out while you go. I'll find out when he got fired. So,
and they kept saying, "Oh, this is the most controversial referee ever." Think about. They actually mentioned the Montreal Screwjob, which I thought was interesting.
Yep.
So
while he had him in a sharpshooter.
Yeah, well, they mentioned that they mentioned the Montreal thing before the match started, and then Jeff Jarrett puts Christian Cage in a sharpshooter. Earl teases ringing the bell, and they're like, "Don't do it." I'm like,
"Yeah, we don't need another 97 again. Don't do it." Yeah,
that doesn't need to be there. That just takes away from this match. I mean, why are you bringing up something that's not even in your company?
Yeah.
That didn't even happen in your company. Like, I didn't need that. And then you had all the shenanigans with Gail Kim being involved. There's ref bumps. Slick Johnson comes in at one point. There was a segment earlier in the match where he wanted to be the referee of this match. And he's main event 85 WCW main events.
That was one of the funniest promos that I forgot. He's like, Zabisco's like, who are you? He's like, I'm Mark Slick Johnson, and I called 85 WCW main events. He's like, we're like,
so it's just there was so much extra stuff in this match that it really took away from the match itself, and I think it kind of put a damper on Christian Cage's performance. I mean, this is his first world title win, and it just everything else it just took away from it. So I really did not like the way they put this match together.
Mongo,
you have the Earl Hebner news yet? No.
Yes. So okay. Earl Hebner was fired in the summer of 2005 for selling those bootleg WWE t-shirts, and he debuted for this pay-per-view. This was his debut. So
good call, Tim. So here's my one thing that I'm going to point out, and then we'll move on to ending the show and talking about next week and whatever we want to do after this. 05 TNA, 06 TNA so far. When the ever-loving hell has Jeff Jarrett had a match that didn't have so much horse shit in it that it still smells to this day? I'll wait for you guys to come up with one, because I couldn't. And I know that he's a heel. But when it happens the same way it's like the James Gang thing all over again, where it happens the same way what's going to happen. There's going to be a guitar involved. Jarrett's going to have his back to the referee. He'll hit a low blow. Gail Kim will jump off the top ropes and put her snatch in your face and flip you around and all this stuff. Like it's to a T. Like, all this garbage is going to happen before it even happens, because it happens every single match with Jeff Jarrett. Granted, again, he's a heel. I get it. Would it be the end of the world if we did something fucking different?
Wow, Roland's really heated on this one.
Well, because like Tim said, it took away from Christian winning the damn match. Like the guy wins his first ever title, a prestigious title. It's not like it's the TNA title. It's the NWA World Heavyweight Championship. And all you can think of is Gail Kim doing some hurricanranas and Slick Johnson getting thrown out of the ring and a guitar shot. And it just, you don't think of Christian winning the damn match. You think of all the crap that Jeff Jarrett pulls. And like I said, it happens to a T. It's like the Ric Flair spot when he goes in the turnbuckle and then comes back down and falls on his face. It's like, okay, when's Jarrett going to hit him with a guitar? Like every month.
Well, that's a lot of his criticism in his TNA run, was how he booked himself in. Now, people have asked us, what's the definition of Gaga? This fucking match.
Mm-hmm.
If you want to know when we say something has too much Gaga or there's Gaga involved, it's this. It's when there's overly done spots. It's when there's run-ins. It's when there's clusterfuckeriness. It's when you have spots that don't make sense to the flow of the match. It's when you can't have your heel lose a different way, like Roland said. You can't have him win by putting his foot on the ropes, the classic heel. Jerry Jarrett was your father. He pretty much invented the heels using the rope for leverage, and you use that spot.
Well, so here's the other thing that, like, and I know this is more than just TNA wide. This is like to this day still. You know what really grinds my gears?
Jeff Jarrett's match, apparently.
Well, yeah, but is when you have that dumb son of a bitch second referee come running in after he watched a guy get hit with a chair to make the near fall. He's like, 1, 2, oh, it's a near fall. It's like, and again, I know this is like pre-produced and we're not supposed to logically get it, but the referee comes out to make a near fall after he literally witnessed a guy hit somebody with a pipe or a ring bell or a sledgehammer, and he's like, oh, time to go make my count.
and in that same vein, we've seen the referee come from the back to reverse the decision for disqualification.
Yeah.
That's why it's insulting.
Yes.
Because you're like, I mean, I've been to indie shows where you can clearly tell, they're right there waiting for their cue to come out. And some, like, this past Limitless, loved the show, it was great. But, like, every ref within the company took a bump in that one match because they all just kept coming out and getting beat down. It's like, you're telling me logically, the ref's waiting to run out there to save the ref, knowing that he's going to get his ass beat because the other two got their ass beat. Like, he's not going to just stand outside the ring and go, like, I'll count out here.
Yeah. I will touch the apron from here to make the count. Like, I'm good. But yeah, that's the other thing that irks me, and it has irked me to this day, is that especially when they do it on the same show. Like there's times where they do it on the same show, the ref comes out and the ref reverses a decision because of a disqualification. He's like, no, he used a chair. And then the very next match, that the other ref is in the ring and the other one comes running out and he's like 1, 2, and it's like he just hit him with a car. And they're like, oh, it's fine. It's fine. It's just an automobile.
One of my all-time favorite, I know it's not this match, but heel finishes is, I believe it was a SummerSlam, and Randy Orton was in a title match, and he looked the referee in the face and just dead ass just slapped him across the face to get disqualification. I would rather see that happen than all the Gaga in this match. You know what I'm talking about, right? Where he literally just looked at the referee dead ass in the face, was like, slap.
Well, and like it's just that's the one thing that really does irk me though, is that like I don't care if Jeff Jarrett loses or wins by cheating. Like I don't. That's fine. He's a heel. He's supposed to do that, but you can almost call the spots like ahead of time. Like, oh, here's Gail Kim getting that now the referee. Oh, here comes the guitar. And again, I get that that's his shtick and guitar and whatever, but like maybe do it in a different friggin' order instead of doing it the same way every time. Or like, and like I said, Jared has that typical low blow move where the referee's not looking. He does the backwards leg kick to low, like it's to a T, and unfortunately it takes away from whoever wins, whether he ends up winning or in this case Christian wins and wins his first world title, like first major world title. And all you can think of after the match is like, wow, Jeff Jarrett is a DQ spot monkey. Like he does it exactly the same way over and over again.
And I'm glad you said, because that's what I was thinking. I hate when, like, oh, they say this person's just a spot monkey because they jump off the top rope. When you have this kind of shit too, that just because they're not doing the same high risk maneuver, or, oh, he's always got to get his flippy dippy stuff in, you're getting your same Gaga pageantry bullshit. And like you said, it's to a T. Like you can almost be a wrestler in that match. Like, okay, in like 30 seconds, Jarrett's gonna go to the corner. Okay. Oh, okay.
Oh, yeah, there's the low. Referee didn't see it. Wait. When he pushed him off, the referee fell down. Here comes Gail Kim to Hurricane Rana me 3 times, and then here comes the guitar.
And this is just more of a common nitpick, and I guarantee my friend Kenny's the same way on this one. And I know you are, because we've talked about it in the past. The one thing that drives me nuts as a fan, doesn't matter what promotion, doesn't matter where it is the ref shouldn't sell a move as severely as a death sentence. If it's something like, I can't stand when like a ref gets just pushed on the shoulder, and he stumbles backwards and he rolls out of the ring like he just got super kicked. Like, can we scale the selling based on what happened to the ref? I understand it's because they need that time to set the spot, but I've literally seen a ref, like they were run into, barely hit on the shoulder, spin around and sell it like they just, took the Judas effect. I'm like, no, like, come on. And then they're outside the ring and the other wrestlers like slapping their head to wake up. Like, he shouldn't be out cold from a kick to the gut. Like, are you kidding me? Like, I know, but that's where the realism dies for me.
Unless he hit his head when he fell out of the ring. Like, yeah. Like, well, like you said, they're selling it like Charles Robinson when the ring exploded.
If that's not the greatest sell job, though, ever by a ref, when the damn ring implodes, Charles Robinson goes in the third row.
He bounces, goes forward, falls between the ropes, grabs for the ropes, falling. Yeah. An epic sell job. But anyways, let's get this back on here so we can get rid of this sour taste in our mouth left by the King of the Mountain.
That's what you're gonna. Besides King of the Mountain, we're gonna read this King of the Turd for you. We're gonna read this.
Yeah. Me? Am I first?
Yeah, go for it, Tim.
I don't know. I'll probably give it a 5, maybe a 4.5, 5, just because so many tag team matches. The ending was not very good, but thankfully you had the exhibition triple threat match. I mean, that saved it. Otherwise, this pay-per-view probably been like a 3 or 4. But I'll give it a 5, strictly for that match.
Yeah, I would say that saved it from being like very poor. I would say that in this case, I'm going to give it a Tully, an Arn, an Ole, a Rick, and a Barry Windham. So 4.5. Or Jeff Jarrett, actually, because he was kind of like half a horseman. So whatever. Either way, you get to 4.5. That's where I'm going.
So I'm still trying to figure out your math one.
Well, I figured Barry Windham was like half a horseman. He wasn't really like actually a horse. Like, I mean, you have guys like Luger that was kind of a horseman. You have guys like Jarrett that was kind of a horseman. You know, those are half a horseman. So I named the four, and then I went with like, okay, we'll include J.J. Dillon. How's that? 4.5 done.
So I think 4.5 is a little harsh. I think 5's right around the same. I'm with Tim because I think you had the Jay Lethal triple threat match that was great. You had obviously Smojo, AJ Styles, Christopher Daniels, which saved the pay.
There's going to be people going, Jay Lethal was in a triple threat match on this card. Oh man!
I say yes. So I think that honestly, I think the opening tag team match, I know it was a lot of them. I think it was sneaky good. So I think a 5 is fair for this. Because if you took off the AJ Styles match, this would be a solid number 2. Like this would
this would be a giant turd. But yeah, so the only reason I went so low is because of the ending of the Jeff Jarrett Gaga. If they had done the match with a little bit of Gaga and Christian won, and it wasn't so convoluted at the end, it would have been a little bit higher for me. It really put a sour taste in my mouth watching Jarrett do the exact same thing from 7 months straight now, and no one, including Zbyszko or anybody, is supposed to like see it. And ever, like it happens every month at the main event of every show. So,
and this was the one that TNA management was supposed to like. There was supposed to be no outside interference. They're supposed to lay down the law, and you still had all this shit going on.
Yeah.
So
well,
Tim,
that's why I said it
for WCW. Follow something.
What
do you always say? Follow the what? What do you like? Follow the rules.
Follow the rules. That's right.
Follow the rules.
They didn't follow their own rules. Wow, way to leave me hanging there, Tim.
I was gonna put my hand up and guess buzzards, but
that's what I was thinking of.
But like,
because you always complain about following the rules on WCW.
Follow the rules.
Well, and that was my main point when I talked about the beginning of the show, that like they saved all the Gaga and stuff for like the last match. Like I will give them credit; they did clean up the other matches, except all that vomit ended up in the last match. So.
The best way to describe this pay-per-view is it's like getting a chicken parm sandwich and the bread is fucking moldy.
Ooh.
Well, on that note,
moldy bread.
Because the middle was great, but it was capped off by some.
Wait, you still ate it with the moldy bread?
No, I didn't eat it. I've never gotten one.
You just sounded like Paul Heyman there. No, good sir.
First of all, look.
How did you know the middle was great?
First of all, I said it's a simile. It's a metaphor. It's a simile.
Mongo eats moldy bread. Mongo eats moldy bread.
Look,
I grew up poor, all right? I've seen some moldy bread in my cabinet. I've never once intentionally eaten moldy bread. Now, has there been times where I've taken a bite of a sandwich, looked down and went, son of a bitch, when I was younger? Yes. And then went and gargled mouthwash for like 2 hours because I thought I was going to die.
And now we know why Mongo's head is so big. The adverse effects of eating moldy bread, folks.
It was probably like one time. I guarantee you guys can't tell me you've never eaten something and after it went, oh, this is expired. Shit, should have eaten that.
I have. I'm not gonna lie. I've like picked the mold off of bread before because it was like all we had left. Like I'm like, oh, there's a little spot of mold here. I'm like, boop, boop. I've done that, but like I've never been like, oh man, this had mold on it. Like I at least look at what I'm eating. I
was young and dumb, right? But like 17, 18, I didn't know better.
Mongo's down there like cookies, just like he's not even looking, he's just throwing stuff in his mouth.
It was like one time, dude. And it wasn't a chicken parm sandwich. I made a simile, and Tim now just made me realize that, wow. Tim had to get all his shots in for like a week, too.
Mongo, follow the rules.
Follow the rules.
If it's got mold on it, don't eat it.
I don't. Right? Don't start that rumor out there.
All right. Things you find out about your friends doing this podcast.
Dude, I'll tell you what, they can't say we don't have fun doing this.
So that wraps up TNA Against All Odds 06. Coming up for you guys next week, we're going back to the E with No Way Out 2003. That's the Hulk Hogan Rock rematch for WrestleMania 18. You have Stone Cold Steve Austin, Eric Bischoff on the card. So looking forward to covering that for you guys next week.
Yeah, this is one of those shows going in. There's going to be some Gaga, obviously, with the Bischoff thing. Thankfully, I think that match is only about 5 minutes, so they did it right, and they didn't go too far with it. And to be fair, name a bigger match in 2002 than Hogan Rock at Mania. So I mean, this rematch should, at least deliver on some of that. And there's guys, like Benoit, Brock Lesnar. There's guys on this card that are going to be worth watching. Manga, you said, was it Team Angle? Was that who? Yeah. So I mean, you have the world's greatest tag team and Kurt Angle. I mean, the card should be really good, and I'm looking forward to. I was a junior in high school at this point, or maybe a sophomore, depending on March. Yeah, so I would have been a sophomore because we would have been a junior the following year, right? Anyways, I don't know. Either way, I was a junior or a sophomore, whatever. Somewhere I was in the middle of my high school years, and this is the stuff that I remember fondly because we had such a group of people that would talk wrestling after shows like this and stuff. So it's very nostalgia for me.
No, I agree. Knowing now that this is Stone Cold's penultimate match before his retirement, if you think about it, it was this match, and then he fights The Rock at Mania and retires.
Mm-hmm.
So it's kind of cool to see, like, okay, what's his last fun match he does for his last serious match? So I'm kind of excited to see that sneaky. And Rock Hogan, like you said, WrestleMania 18, I've never heard a louder crowd probably since the Hardy Boys re-debuted at WrestleMania. That's probably as close back because of the bigger crowd. But that was an electric crowd the entire match. It changed the culture of the match. The match is legendary. It's a rematch, so it's not going to be the same atmosphere, but hopefully it's going to be the same chemistry.
Well, and it also changed the course of history in bringing, red and yellow Hogan back.
Mm-hmm. Absolutely. So that's coming up for you guys next week. No Way Out 2003. Thanks for joining us today. Follow us on all our social media platforms. And thank you very much for tuning us in today. Until next week, I'm Tim Kurt.
I'm Roland Fulis.
And I'm Mongo.
And this is Wrestling with Wrestling's Past and Present. Mongo eats moldy bread.
I don't eat moldy bread.
Did you guys notice I got my last name back?
You got your last name back,
yeah. Vince gave it back to me. I had to do some ungodly things, but I got it back.
I don't eat moldy bread. I hope you're all having a nice day.